Fidelity Inventory, or TFI, is an assessment on PBI's assessments that provides reports on Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3 levels of implementation of PBIS. This video series includes 4 parts: preparation, completion and recording, reviewing and analyzing, and action planning using the TFI. This video will focus on preparation for the TFI. Preparation is the first step in getting ready to complete the TFI as a team, and this information will give you the tools that will help your team to be ready to complete the TFI. My name is Celeste Rossetto-Dickey, and I'll be presenting the information in this video. There are many resources on our pbisapps.org website about the TFI, as well as the other assessments we offer. You can find the TFI 2.1 and the TFI Action Plan in user guides and materials. It is important to have access to the entire TFI document to access all that is needed for completion of the assessment. First of all, it's important to schedule a meeting with the right people to complete the TFI for the particular tier or tiers you are focusing on. Each tier will take approximately 30 minutes to complete. The time will decrease over time as the team becomes familiar with the items within each tier and the process for completing the TFI. Be sure that all the team members are present and the coach is available. It's important to consider which tiers will you be completing. How are your school teams organized? Is there one team that focuses on all 3 tiers? Many small schools typically do this. Or do you have multiple teams? Make sure that the team members are present who can answer the questions accurately. For example, the Tier 1 team can complete the Tier 1 section, and then the Tier 2-3 team can complete those sections. Before meeting, it's important to complete the companion tool that's associated with each tier. Completing of the companion tool will aid the team in answering the questions on the TFI. We will go through each of the Appendix tools. The Appendix is located at the back of the TFI document. We'll look at Appendix A, B, and C. The companion tool for Tier 1 is the Appendix A, the walkthrough tool, which is located on pages 27 and 28 of the TFI document. This is a tool that is used by a coach or external person to complete prior to the TFI. We will highlight each page. The first page, 27, includes the purpose and specific questions that are asked of students and staff. If you have completed or participated in the set, the questions will be very familiar to you. 10% of the staff and at least 10 students are the recommended sample sizes. However, this will vary by the size of the school. The questions focus on the expectations, teaching, and acknowledgement system. The interviews are very brief, but it's important to schedule a time with the administrator or team facilitator so that the interviews don't interrupt instruction. Here's the second page of the walkthrough. This form provides an efficient way to tally the results and then calculate percentages that will be needed in order to answer some of the questions on the TFI. In summary, schedule the time to complete the TFI at the school. Allow about 30 minutes to complete the walkthrough and tally the results. You will use the results to answer 3 questions on the TFI. Now we'll look at Tier 2, Appendix B. This is a tool in which the team takes an inventory of the targeted interventions being implemented at the school. Here is an example of the Targeted Interventions Reference Guide that was completed by one school. Along the top, the school listed the targeted interventions being implemented at the school. In this example, there are 5. However, many schools just getting started with Tier 2 may list only 1 or 2 interventions. At the left is a list of different needs that the targeted intervention can provide. It isn't expected that one intervention will meet the needs of all students. Different interventions will meet different needs for different students. Its goal is to have enough interventions in place to meet the needs of the students who will benefit from targeted interventions. This is the blank form that the team and coach or coordinator will complete prior to the meeting to conduct the TFI. The interventions will be listed across the top, and then a yes or an X will be entered in each square for the need that is met by the intervention. This will help your team answer 2 of the items on the TFI. This is Tier 3, Appendix C. This document helps the team to focus on specific items about behavior interventions being implemented. It is found on page 31 of the TFI document. The team will randomly choose up to 3 current Tier 3 plans created in the last year. There are specific directions at the top for scoring each of the items using the random sampling of the plans. Support plans will include any tier interventions being used at the school. Some examples are FBA, BSPs, person-centered planning, wraparound, and prevent, teach, reinforce plans. In summary, the coach and team will do this prior to taking Tier 3 of the TFI. If it's completed beforehand, it will make the Tier 3 TFI meeting more efficient. The team will need to review between 1 to 3 Tier 3 plans. Allow approximately 30 minutes to complete the worksheet. The worksheet will assist in answering many of the items on Tier 3 of the TFI, as you can see in the last bullet on this slide. So in review, complete Appendix A, B, and/or C prior to the meeting. Use the results from the worksheets to answer specific questions of the TFI. Be able to access documentation with completing the TFI. One way to do this is to talk to the team facilitator and ask her or him to have the PBIS minutes, handbook, and documents available either on paper or online, in case the team needs to refer to those documents. We will cover other documents in the next section. This is the first page of the TFI Tier 1. Notice that there are 3 columns. The middle column says possible data sources. This doesn't mean that all the data sources listed must be used. The possible data sources are a list of documents that can be used to help the team in answering the questions. This slide and the next slide list the possible data sources that are listed on the TFI. Tier 1 includes quite a few possible data sources. Your team may have some or most of these documents already available in hard copies or accessible online. Here are additional data sources that can be used to answer questions for the Tier 1 TFI. Now let's look at Tier 2. The Tier 2 data sources can be helpful in completing the Tier 2 of the TFI. As you look through the list, most will be familiar to you. The intervention tracking tool isn't listed in the TFI, but there isn't an example in the appendix. We've had many questions about what is the intervention tracking tool, and as a result, we have some examples in our next slide. Item 211 of TFI references the intervention tracking tool as a possible data source. Here are a couple of examples from Placer County, California, and the Illinois PBIS network. The tracking tool provides a way to know which interventions are being used and whether they are being successful. Many sites have created their own through Google Docs and other tools. If you have a document, you may have a different name than intervention tracking tool, but it serves the same purpose. Now we're going to move on to Tier 3. The Tier 3 list covers the possible data sources for Tier 3. They're not required data sources, but they are documents that might assist the team in answering questions on the Tier 3 section of the TFI. Once you've completed the Appendix tool and have asked the team facilitator to have possible data sources available, you're ready to schedule a meeting to complete the TFI.